Today we are here on the public test server for patch 8.0 Space Marine 2 to talk about the best Thunderhammer builds for the Assault class in the new Horde mode. Now, the Thunderhammer is one of the strongest weapons the Imperium has in lore, and in this game it's kind of mediocre but still has some decent perk synergies. Now, the two best variants of this weapon in my opinion are the Artificer balanced version and the Relic tier block version, the block version being the best overall for damage for obvious reasons, and the Artificer version giving us a little bit more defense on things like Minor's parries on top of giving us access to gun strikes, which are really good on this class, where the block version may struggle to or be outright unable to. Now, you may be wondering, why would we want this weapon if the speed stat is so low? Well, the big thing is that its strength meter is very high, and this will let us hit breakpoints to one-shot things like Rubric Marines, and also take down things like Tyranid Warriors in one hit with our ground pound and the perk setup I will show shortly. And really, the speed stat in this game doesn't matter at all for things like your Aftershock charge time. So all this actually affects is like your light attack combo and your ground slam. It doesn't really matter at all. Or it doesn't matter most of the time. Now, as far as the perk tree setup for the Artificer version goes, I would go this way. I would take Perpetual Strength into Fast Preparation. Aftershock preparation time is reduced by 30%. I just think Aftershock is too important to not have like a reduced preparation time on. And the perk up here, Calm Before the Storm, when preparing Aftershock, you take 10% less range damage. Well, guess what? You're going to take a lot less range damage if you get your Aftershock off faster than if you just sit there and get shot in the face. Now, the next perk I would take here would be Perpetual Strength into Perpetual Strength, into Extremis Slayer, into Reclamation. And even though I should note that the Aftershock contested health recovery is a little bugged in this game, and then like the second hit of your Aftershock, especially with Aftershock improved, will not actually get back any contested HP. They might fix this by the time the official release comes, I'm not sure, but that still seems to be a bug even in the public test server. Now, next here be Offense Initiated. If your armor is fully depleted, this weapon deals 10% more melee damage. Damage is damage, and this is pretty much, a mandatory take for us to go down here. And then we take, again, Perpetual Strength, more damage, and then we take Kill Streak. After killing 7 enemies in rapid succession with a light combo, you do not lose control upon taking heavy hits, and you cannot be knocked back for 5 seconds. This one is pretty much useless to us, but we have to take it to get Aftershock improved. And really, I should note that the Thunderhammer already has hyper armor on its charge attacks, so things like Brace Preparation and Kill Streak are pretty much worthless fundamentally, and are honestly a worse version of just the hyper armor it already has. And Aftershock improved, Aftershock gains additional smash. This is just more damage. Aftershock improved is really good. It can reach enemies that you otherwise would be unable to. I like this a lot. Some people do like Patience Rewarded for that extra armor when they're low HP, but really, if you're at low HP already and you're like trying to charge up an Aftershock, at times this can outright get you killed, especially against Chaos. I mean, really, the Thunderhammer gets you killed against Chaos in general, but I digress. Next, we have to take Minor's Slayer. Melee damage against Minor's level enemies increases by 20%. As far as I am aware, this does not really affect any breakpoints for us on this weapon, but we have to take it to get to Majora's Slayer, which is really good for us, especially on our ground slam. And now, as far as the block version goes, I would swap up this perk tree a little bit, and I would just go down the same way we went before, but instead of taking Extremis Slayer, I go into Shattering Impact and Seismic Chain, mainly because Shattering Impact for the Ground Slam is a lot faster with our Speed 4 here, and the Seismic Chain is actually really good at catching some enemies who'd be otherwise unable to. And the melee damage increase, again, I take Aftershock as an option here instead, because Aftershock is done all the time, and 10% more melee damage should affect things like our ground pound, and 10 seconds is quite a long uptime on any perk in this game. And we go here for Kill Streak, Aftershock improved, you get the idea, and then back to Majora's Slayer. Now, as far as our perk combos go, you can either choose between Overcharge for damage from charged melee attacks increasing by 25%. This does help out with Aftershock, does make it more powerful. But I do like things like Armor Reinforcement because non-finisher gun strikes restoring one armor segment. This is one of the best defensive perks in this game, especially versus Tyranids, because as long as you have one armor segment in this game, you will take 0 damage from any melee hit that hits you, boss or otherwise. Ranged attacks will still pierce, but as far as melee goes, really, really good. And for Horde mode, consecutive execution, killing 7 enemies in rapid succession restores equipment charge by 1. Cooldown is 90 seconds. Melt a Bomb spam in this mode is OP. It is so good. It is so valuable that I just can't imagine not taking this perk unless I'm having like a tactical that's using Secure Stockpile for a 60-second cooldown on everyone's grenades. But overall, losing out, or I should say missing out on your equipment recharge in this game is really, really bad in Horde mode. It's one of the reasons why Bulwark can struggle in some areas where these classes do not. And even though I do love Auxiliary Arsenal for secondary weapon damage increased by 20%, overall, Melt-A-Bomb spam is just the GOAT. Now, here we take Knowledge of the Enemy. Melee damage increases by 15% against Majoris or Extremis level enemies. This just lets us hit breakpoints we otherwise would be unable to and one-shot things with our Ground Slam. Here is where you can kind of take a little bit of a different perk between. If I'm taking the block version, I would take Strategic Strikes, mainly because we aren't going to be gun striking as much. And for the balanced version, I'd be taking Proven Efficiency, because gun strike damage is just pretty goated. Now here on the gear tree, I take Precision Strike. Ground Pound deals 100% more damage, but its radius is reduced by 50%. Now, the Thunder Hammer already has the largest base radius of any weapon that the Assault has access to for his Ground Pound, and really losing out on 50% of that means nothing, especially on Horde mode where there are just so many enemies clumped together already. Now, for the gear tree here, Zealous Blow, a Ground Pound kill restores jump packs charged by 10%. I mean, Zealous Blow is just super, super good. Super, super high synergy with the Ground Pound on the Thunder Hammer, and this will just let you cycle your Ground Pound indefinitely, pretty much, as long as there are enemies to land on. Now, Pride and Duty. After a finisher, Ground Pound deals 25% more damage for 10 seconds. This is really good because you are going to be executing all the time, and a 25% damage increase is quite a lot. It lets you do things like one-shot Majoris who would otherwise be unable to at times, or even Extremis. And you can also take Diligence. A fully prepared Ground Pound deals 20% more damage, but preparation time increases by 25%. This used to not be as good, but now you do have the perk for Unyielding Oath, which is when charging a Ground Pound, you become invulnerable for 3 seconds. This has some synergy with that, but overall, I still think Pride in Duty is better, and Aerial Grace, I think this perk is overrated. Honestly, I think this perk is even overrated for things like a Wings of Flame build, because Wings of Flame with Commitment already does a pretty good job on its own, and the 30% more damage, as far as I know, this doesn't even affect your gun strike damage. It might, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Now, signature perks. I still take Commitment here, a perfectly timed dodge using a jump pack dash restores jump pack's ability to charge. I just think this is really useful. I think this can save you in areas where you'd otherwise just get caught by things. And even though we don't have Wings of Flame and it's not as good as like an actual perfect dodge jump pack build, it's still pretty decent. And as far as ample ammunition, you can also take this. Any use of jump pack reloads the equipped ranged weapon and increases its damage by 50% for 10 seconds. This is still good. 50% increased range damage is still pretty decent in this game. That's a pretty hefty chunk. Even if it's only up for 10 seconds, this can let you like blast somebody with your plasma pistol or your heavy bolt pistol. But personally, I think this just gives us more options even without Wings of Flame. And really, if you want to take Wings of Flame with like a balanced Thunder Hammer for like the full-on gun strike build, you can do that with a Thunder Hammer, though overall I think in Horde mode we get more benefit out of Zealous Blow. Now, as far as the prestige perks go, I just go for Adrenaline Boost for all that knockback resist. Knockback resist is just super valuable in this game. This will save you from things like these zoanthrope strikes. It lets you stop yourself from getting knocked back by enemies that would otherwise kill you. Super valuable. Again, Fortitude here, also super valuable. Health increases by 15%. The lower your HP gets in this game, the higher your damage resist goes up fundamentally, and this just makes it so your effective HP gets that much higher. Now, Scramble Targeting. If you are surrounded by 5 or more enemies, you take 20% less damage from range attacks. I tried this and Unyielding Oath. I find Scramble Targeting, especially in Horde mode, to be much better because you're pretty much always surrounded by 5 or more enemies, especially against Chaos, and the 20% damage reduction here to range attacks is actually really valuable. And again, practice aim. Range damage increases by 15%. That's just more damage. Really good perk. Some people like Duelist. I think this is only good for block weapons. The perfect parry timings are already so large in this game, it doesn't really matter all that much, especially since this does not benefit us on the balanced parry Windows negative frame startup whatsoever. Now, As far as our secondary goes, I would say take Plasma Pistol in Horde mode. Plasma Pistol in Horde mode is really good, primarily because the gun strikes this has have an AoE effect, and there are just so many enemies in Horde mode in this game that just blasting them with an AoE gun strike is super, super valuable, and I like this a lot. I just build for efficient charge. Some people think they should take Retaliation for after a perfectly timed dodge, you deal 25% more damage for 10 seconds. This does not affect your gun strike damage, and you have to think that most of the time when you perfectly time a dodge in this game, you get access to a gun strike, and you're just going to take that gun strike, and the fact that this does not affect your gun strikes means that you're not actually getting the full 10-second benefit usually. So I just think that building for ammo capacity is just way more important in this game, especially since the Assault has like 0 ammo efficiency perks whatsoever. And if you don't want to take the Plasma Pistol, you can take Heavy Bolt Pistol. This is still really good. This is how I set this one up. And overall, I think these two are the best for the Assault class, especially on the Thunderhammer build, and really any build he uses. But Plasma Pistol, definitely really good in the Horde mode. But that's all I have to say about this build. I think the Assault is actually pretty damn good in a team. It really struggles on his own, and you're not really going to have too many problems until you hit the Chaos Waves with him. But overall, as long as you time your stuff properly and you're like in the proper positions to get your Aftershock off, you should have a semi-okay time, assuming your teammates are helping you out. Anyways, if you have any questions about this build, let me know in the comments below. I'll probably remake this guide when they actually like update the PTS server, or they release the full builds, or I should say the full patch 8.0 build of the game for Horde mode on the 26th. Until then, take it easy, everybody. I want to say thank you to my channel members, everyone who supports me in my streams. It means a ton. You guys have been super supportive recently. I will also be making some Darktide content with a new RBD's class drops. Until then, take it easy. Peace.